Welcome to the Pastor Chira Show. I'm Pastor Chira, and today we launch. We launch into new mindset. We launch into new territory. We launch into new relationships. Are you ready to launch out? Come on and launch out with me as we go into this conversation on today. So I was told, actually I was sent a video and I was like, they were like, you gotta watch this, you gotta hear him. He's amazing. He is such a man of God. You have got to. And I was like, okay. And I listened to it and I was like, okay. And so I was introduced to this young man. I'm going to say this young man. Yes. And just hearing him and seeing him and watching what he's doing every day, the inspiration that he's sending out, the word that he's singing out is just amazing. And I wanted you all to hear and to meet this amazing man of God. And that is none other than Elder Andre Cartwright. Yes. Hey. Hi.
How are you?
I am
Thank you for
good.
having
How are
me.
you?
I'm doing well. I'm in no position to complain. No position to complain.
Listen, we here. We here.
We're here.
The Lord has kept us.
Um,
He continues to keep us. He continues to bless us. Listen,
yep.
we good.
Every day, I'm glad to just be. I'm can relate to my grandparents now. I'm glad to see another day. I didn't appreciate
See,
when they would say that when I was younger. Now every day I wake up, I'm just glad to be on this side.
listen, the stuff that they said when we were little, that we looked at them like, why are you saying that?
hmm
Now we saying that. Now
It's
we
making
saying
sense
that.
now, right?
It makes all the
We learned
sense
the
in the
language.
world.
We learned the language.
Yes, we learned the language. Yes, learn behavior. We got learned behavior. Well, I am so excited and I'm so glad that you have said yes to sit down and have a candid conversation with us. But before we get into that, can you just introduce yourself to the viewing audience?
Yes. Well, my name is Andre Cartwright. I am the founder of AJC Ministries, ministry in Philadelphia. I'm the founder of Good Works LLC. It's a community nonprofit, community service nonprofit. Husband, father, grandfather, um, minister in just about every regard of the word. Um, Other than that, there's really not much. There's not enough time to go into all the details, but that's who I am.
I was about to say, are you going to say there's really not much to say? Were you about to go into
No,
that modest place?
again, learned behavior.
Right? Learned behavior. And we have a lot. We have a lot of learned behavior being
Yeah.
who we are and in the families that we are in and the backgrounds that we have. And you talked a little bit about your grandparents and the things that you
hmm
heard growing up. What is your ministry background? What is your ministry lineage, your ministry heritage? What is that? What does that look like?
Wow. I am proud to be fourth generation. My great grandfather, who I was blessed to have met and spent time with when I was younger, he was a bishop in the Lord's Church. My grandfather, who is living, he is 84 years old, currently a bishop in the Lord's Church, and still traveling evangelist. While we're taping this, he just left from Philadelphia to go to South Carolina to do a 2-day leadership conference and an ordination installation at 84.
Wow. Wow.
My father is a bishop in the Lord's Church, and my former pastor. I'm no longer with the ministry, but while I am launching out and doing ministry, he is currently still my covering and my voice of sobriety and counsel. So yeah, I have a long line of ministry within my family. Many of my grandfather's siblings were in ministry, some bishops, some deacons, elders. My father, many of his generation is in ministry. Even my generation, my sister, her and her husband recently launched out their ministry. So it's literally it's in the bloodline. It's in
It's
my blood. As much as I have wanted to, and in many earlier years wanted to get away from it and outright told my dad, I don't want to have nothing to do with it.
right,
I've seen it. I watch it. Y'all can have it. I'll stay on the organ as
right,
I've been
right.
I'm the church musician. But the Lord did not let me live that life too long. So I said yes in my early 20s and have been on the battlefield ever since.
So honestly, because you're right, we being in the families that we're in and being raised in ministry, and our pastors and I mean our parents and our grandparents being in ministry and doing all they do. What was the push? What was it that made you say yes?
I can say that it was a pairing, probably. I would say the pairing of one, the unction of respecting the unction of God, knowing
Mm-hmm.
the certainty of God's choice. He never chooses wrong.
Right.
So even if I didn't see myself worth it, I trusted God's choice.
Mm.
That and seeing the purity from which my lineage served.
Mm.
I saw them sacrifice literally almost everything. So I knew it wasn't just for fame. It wasn't for
Mm-hmm.
money. It wasn't for notoriety. They served because they loved the Lord. They loved the things of the Lord. They loved his people. And because I appreciated their purity and the certainty of God's choice, that's what pushed me to say, okay, yes, I'll do it. I'll only do it because God chose me, and I'll only do it the way I've been, that has been exampled in front of me.
Right. But that's a good point. You'll only do it from what's been exampled in front of
Mhm,
us and in front of you in times past. But we're in a
mhm,
different time now. We're in a different,
mhm,
dispensation. We're in there's just so much that is different about this era and this
mhm.
generation. And so, how are you finding it to minister today with the things that we have been and the things that you've been taught and the things that have been instilled in you in days past? How do you bring that together?
I, I've realized I've had to unlearn some of the, as we referred to earlier, learned behavior. I've
Right.
had to unlearn things that in many ways, I was perpetuating the motion, but not the motive. I was
Mm.
doing what I saw done, but not understanding why it was done. And I've learned that when you know why something is done, even if how it's done changes, if the why is consistent, you will always be meeting the same purpose that it was originally intended to meet. Um, Transportation has always been the purpose of it has been to get people from one place to another fast.
Right.
Initially, it was walking. Then it was on a horse, on the horseback and horse and carriage.
Right.
Now we're in automobiles. So while the method that we use changes over time, the purpose to get people from one place to another quickly, that has still is still the forefront and um, the priority of what we do. The
Of what we
why
do.
never changes. Yep.
Right. Right.
So
Why do I
I've
need this
learned to
transportation? Why do I need to do this? Because I need to get
right,
from A to B. Right.
right.
How am I going to do
So
this? We have different ways that we could do this. We could still walk.
right,
We could still get on a horse. But now we have the option of getting in a car or getting on a
Right.
motorcycle or riding a bike.
Right.
But there are
Right.
ways to do this. There are different ways to do this. And even today, the ways that we do this, now we're not even transporting. We're not even going
Right.
anywhere. We had to find, as you said, other ways to do
Other
this.
ways.
Yes. How has that transition been for you in ministry?
Um, like many who share the same testimony, it has been a struggle to adapt.
Ah,
Because again, if you're just used to, and for no bad reason, we're used to gathering, we're used to
mm-hmm,
being tangible. I'm a person who I love hearing testimony. I'm still one of the people that clap in church. I don't need a clap track. So there's some things that will still be manual for me, that will still
mm-hmm.
be tangible. Um, I'm I've been challenged to maintain the same fervency, the same
Mm,
strength, even though we have the mediums have changed. So we're not as gathered, we're not as tangible with each other, but it forces us to make sure we're consistent and faithful to the why. If the
yeah.
why is only attached to tangibility, we'll go against the text, because if you
Yeah.
follow Jesus when he was talking to Jairus, and was interrupted by the woman with the issue of blood,
Mm-hmm.
the Jairus got word, my daughter died. And he said, you don't even have to go, but I trust if you send your word. So we have to be just as faithful to, I trust that even if I'm not in the presence, if I'm not in the company of the people I'm with, I trust that the same God that was among us tangibly will be among us virtually.
Virtually. And that's what we have to, that has been hard for some people though. Like,
Yeah.
because,
Yeah.
not just us that are doing the ministering, but those that are being ministered to. It's been difficult for them
It's the,
to grab on to that. Have you noticed that as well?
yes. In some regards, it's become a way out of accountability. So if I don't have to show up, I can just sit in bed and scroll. I
Mm-hmm.
can click on anybody's service at any given time. I don't have to stay in my service if it's boring. I don't have to listen to that preacher if I don't want to. I can't just get, now we're tangibly. I couldn't just get up and walk out. Now I can. I'll just keep
Right.
scrolling.
Right.
So that dynamic has it's been hard to, again, be as faithful as you would be if you were tangible.
Yeah.
So without that kind of discipline and conditioning, it will be easy for many to continue to struggle adapting to this new norm.
This new norm. Because it is now the norm. But
Yeah.
so this is where we are. And I appreciate you giving that insight. And so, even with that insight, you chose to launch out and start your own ministry. And we're going to go to a quick commercial break. And on the other side, we're going to talk about AJC. We will be right back. Do you have a service or a business that helps others? Do you have an uplifting, inspiring, and encouraging conference or service coming up? It's time to get the word out. Advertise on The Pastor Chira Show. Go to thepastorchirashow.com and click on advertising opportunities to learn more. Let's let the world know about you. We are back. And we are back with I mean, Pastor. Uh-huh. Andre Cartwright. Yes, we are we are having this conversation on today about, how he has transitioned into this place and how things have been with going into this new place that God has taken him to. And you have transitioned. from being in secondary leadership to primary leadership. You've
Yeah,
transitioned.
yeah, yeah. Quite the
What
transition.
caused you, and how difficult was it for you to do that transition?
Um, Thankfully, it wasn't as difficult as many have experienced. It wasn't even as difficult as I expected it to be. Um, I had a burden on the inside, and I felt it was something I felt for a little bit, but I wasn't certain what it was. I just knew there was something coming, and I had no idea what it was. I called my I was it was so urgent. I called my father about 9, 10 o'clock at night, and I don't know why, but I felt like it couldn't wait till morning, and I called him just to tell him I'm not sure what's happening. I'm not sure what's coming, but I feel like I have to tell you, I'm not certain how much longer I'll be at the church because something is coming. And immediately he cut me off mid sentence and said, I know, shared just related, said, I know how you feel. I've been there. I know what that feels like. I even know how hard it was to have this conversation, to make this phone call, and immediately gave me his blessing to follow how the Lord was leading me and to do what I felt the Lord was calling me to do. So that transition itself was amazingly smooth.
Wow.
I didn't imagine I would have never imagined it would go that smoothly, but I appreciate that it did.
Wow.
And
That's
I've
amazing.
had his blessing ever since, and I still run everything by him. I still take everything to him, and he's still my voice of counsel and reason.
I'm telling you, to have the blessing of your father, the
Yeah,
blessing
yeah,
to
yeah.
go.
That's a whole
That
that's a
that's a,
whole the preacher in me wants to grab hold of that, but I
listen,
won't.
grab hold. Listen, because somebody needs to hear that, because everybody doesn't understand that there is honor in
Hmm.
getting the blessing from your father.
Yes.
There's
Hmm.
honor in that. We don't just go out and do whatever we want to do. We don't
Hmm.
just go and say, forget you. We don't
Right.
forget where we came from. Even if we
Absolutely
don't
not.
know, even if we didn't sit under that, that is still your bloodline and you
It's
honor it.
still I Old Testament. The father had always been responsible for everything in the house, and
Yes.
I'm used to that. My father being responsible for everything, and many don't know it. My dad comes off very nice, very smooth, very genuine, very authentic. When growing up, he was very militant to us in the house, and he managed every part of the house, every room, every piece of furniture, every piece of clothes. There was nothing that he was not aware of or
Wow.
could not speak to in the house. I've learned that. I'm sometimes can be a micromanager because I've learned who is whatever I am over or in charge of, I'm responsible fully for it. And whatever it becomes, it's because I either let it that way or let it go that way. So my 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 life is a reflection of my father's investment in me. So to have his blessing is an honor for me. Most don't even know he gave me his blessing to go months before I even made it public. But I told him I wanted to honor him by not saying or doing anything publicly unless he said it publicly.
That's
I
right.
would let him. I didn't want to publicly leave. I wanted him to publicly release me because I
That
felt that would honor him.
Yes. And people
So
don't
there was,
listen. People don't understand that. No,
yep.
you don't take it upon yourself and do
Mm-mm.
what you want to do. You respect. We
Yes.
have to respect not just our fathers and our mothers. We gotta
Mhm.
respect our elders. There
Yes.
is, oh, there is such a lack that we have today that is missing. And I'm so glad that you were like, nope, I'm not saying a word. I'm not doing
Mhm.
anything. Dad, when you say it,
Right.
then that's when it will be.
I
Until
had
you say it, I'm not doing anything.
I wouldn't visit any churches. I wouldn't because I didn't want anyone asking me anything that I would have to answer
Hmm.
and might reveal something that I wasn't ready to share.
Right.
And so to protect that honor that I was reserving for him, I just wouldn't go anywhere. I wouldn't be in at anything until we even I had sat with him and he recorded a video with me releasing me publicly, and it took me months to even release
Do that.
that.
Wow.
But until I did, I would say or do nothing as it relates to AJC Ministries until that was released.
So, what is AJC Ministries?
AJC Ministry is the, if you will, umbrella for all things in ministry that I do, whether it's itinerant preaching, our Bible study, weekly Bible study on Zoom, any services every third Sunday. We have what we call the lifting. It's a fellowship service we have every third Sunday. For the purpose is so that we lift him, he lifts us. It's a hymn writer lift him up. He said, if I be lifted up from the earth, then I'll draw. So while we're lifting, he's lifting.
Hmm.
So that's what that third Sunday service is. So right now, AJC Ministries is the umbrella, or at least the covering for every ministry effort, every missions effort, every evangelistic effort. Um, right now, that's what it is.
Okay. And so, is it evolving into a a church, or is this a church without walls? Is this ministry to of evangelism? What are we doing?
It's not limited right now. I
Okay.
will say that it is not limited at all. It is not limited to solely virtual. It's not limited to one thing or another. It's currently evolving.
Okay.
Um, I am not even certain, and I don't know if this is the language I should use. I'm not certain where it will stop because I'm not certain that God stops,
Right.
but I'm not certain what it is intended to end up being. Yeah, I think
Mm.
I like that better.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
sure what it is intended to end up being. So until then, I haven't put a label on it. I haven't put any parameters around it or created any boundaries that I don't believe God has created. So if God didn't tell me not to, then I will until he stops me. And if God tells me not to, then there is nothing else I want to do with it.
That's
So
right.
right now, in every when David went to fight Goliath, he grabbed 5 stones out the brook. He only ended up needing to use one,
One.
but he took more than enough. So right now, I have quite a few stones in my satchel, and I'll just be using them all, and whatever, however the Lord sees to carry them, that's what it will be. So I dare not say this is all it will be. That's all it will be. It's only going in that direction. Some days I feel like I'm crazy because I'm going in so many different directions, in so
Right.
many different roles, wearing so many different hats. And at the drop of a dime, I might be preaching at 10 o'clock, on organ at 12 o'clock, doing Bible study at this hour. And I could be in so many different areas and doing so much. But that's my aim, to maximize everything in me,
And in
maximize every
all that,
opportunity.
right. And in all that, God is faithful. He provides. He protects.
Yes. Yes.
He is. He is
Continually.
that. Yes, continually. So, this has been an amazing conversation. You have given us so much. You have given the people so much. And you have
Uh,
taught us so much in just your life and what you're doing and what you do. But I want you to tell them how they can, first of all, I want you to give the people a little word. Just give them some inspiration. And then once you do that, tell them how they can be in touch with you.
John says, Gospel according to John, I believe it's chapter 12, he says, except the seed fall to the ground and die, it remains alone. But once it dies and is buried, then it brings forth much fruit. There is much that is inside of us that remains only potential until we're willing to die to what we've been encased in, what we have been surrounded by, what we have been limited to. While it may feel like a seed is the end of, or the purpose of a thing, what's really in the seed is abundance of fruit. And if we're ever willing to shed the shell, if you will, then the fruit that is in us will come forth.
Wow. Shed the shell. How can the
Shed
people
the
be
shell.
in touch with you? Listen, I'm going to leave that right there.
I'm on social media, on Facebook. My personal page is Andre Cartwright, AndreCartwright. My ministry page is AJC Men, AJC Men, MIN. I'm also on Instagram. It's AYEJAYCEEISME. That's at AJC is me.
Okay. All right. So that's how we can be in touch with you. Listen, I thank
Yes.
you so much for sitting with me and talking with me today and just giving these nuggets so that the people have something that they can grab onto and apply and go.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
I
much
hope
for
this is
having
not
me. It's been a
your
pleasure.
last time. I want you to come back because we got some more stuff to
I'd
talk
be
about.
glad
We
to.
got some more stuff.
I'd be glad
Yes.
to. I'll have a cup of coffee with me next time.
There you go. There you go. Thank you. Thank you so much. That was Elder Andre Cartwright. Listen, shed your shell. Shed your shell. Because when you shed your shell, there is so much. You are limitless. Because you have no more boundaries. You have nothing else holding you back. Shed your shell. I'm Pastor Chira. This is the Pastor Chira Show. And I'll see you next week. God bless.